party in the hills, it's a celebration. I'm talking lit with no limitations. Gotta keep it rocking with the crew, yeah. Work hard, play harder till we through, yeah. Vacay all the way to the Bay, yeah. Up to Hollywood just to get away, yeah. I'm talking West Coast, maybe on the island. In the hills, way, way up, how we wildin', woo! On 100 with the squad, popping willies on the quad. Tell them keep up with the block. Looking at the world and everything we achieve. A blessing to be successful, living to see the dream, yeah. Like every weekend, we draw my free end. We ain't leaving until the sun come up. Like every weekend, we draw my free end. We ain't leaving until the sun come up.
Yeah, every weekend, we throw a party in the hills for fun. It's drama free, yeah, only got room for my day one.
Let's get it.
Singing like, oh, wow, oh, oh. Party in the hills for fun. Oh, wow, oh. Only got room for my day ones. Oh, day one, day one. Shout out to my day one.
Day one, Salah.
Day one.
It's time, it's time, it's time. Look, I've been working OT, feeling like I need a trip to the OC. Cause NY been cold OD, got a little known, people acting like they know me. Luke, what up, Rob and Believe? Make 'em roll up, I ain't talking no leaf, but I say, hey, what up, blood? What up, cuz? What up, gangsters? Speaking about 50, I remember chilling in the office with him. He told me, Andy, don't you ever let him box you in. You only rap for the Christians, that be a sin. I grew up on that juice in the gym. I don't drive slow, but the crew's on 10. Got a few with me, I don't need no friends. Take a trip, see things like the loose in the gyms.
Yeah, every weekend, we throw a party in the hills for fun. It's drama free, yeah, only got room for my day one. Singing like, oh, wow, oh, oh. Party in the hills for fun. Oh, wow, oh. Only got room for my day ones. Oh, party, 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 party all day, party all night. Party, 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 party all day,
Yeah.
party all night.
Party all day, party all night, party like a rock star.
It's drama.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm excited to share a message with you today and have camp wrapped into the message. As you can see, we had a really good time. A lot of big things happened at camp, and I was a big crybaby during camp. And a couple of our other leaders were too, Douglas. Man, what was the best thing about camp was getting away from the everyday distractions and being able to go to a whole different state and just to be able to be focused on God and He can do big things when we're not distracted and we can be focused on Him. Speaking of distractions, how many of you guys have been out to out to eat dinner with your family and you're sitting there at the table and you're being respectful and staying off the phone, but then you look across the way and you got all these other families that are on their phones. They're not even having conversations. They're all on social media or whatever. Or what about when you go to your kid's game and you're too distracted with work stuff, right? And you're not paying attention to your kid playing. Or church, the church setting, right? You're too distracted to hear what God has to say because you're on your phone. Can you guys all relate to one or another one of those examples? Distractions are a real thing. And this world is way too loud, and there's way too many things trying to get our attention, right? All at the same time. Gloria Mark, she's a professor. She's got her PhD from Columbia University in psychology. And she studies the impact of digital media on people's lives. And one of her studies on attention provides the following information. Attention spans in 2004 were an average of 2.5 minutes. Okay? Our attention spans in 2004 were 2.5 minutes. In 2012, the average attention span is 75 seconds. Dropped way down. And then within the last 6 years, the average has been 47 seconds. That's where we're at. Some say it's due to attention switching or trying to multitask and sleep deprivation. So, do we blame it on like the media for feeding us all the garbage that they feed us, and it causes the psychological deficits? Or do we blame ourselves for not having the self-control? It's sad to see that we have allowed ourselves as individuals and as a culture to be distracted by stuff that carries no value. I myself am guilty of that. I'll get on those reels, Facebook reels, TikTok, whatever, and I just sit there. Next thing you know, an hour and a half goes by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate myself because of it, and because I could have been doing something so much more productive. The important things in life suffer from this because we allow the distractions to take the front seat of the important things. And so my big question is when will we allow Jesus to be the distraction? You know what I'm saying? So we got all this important stuff, like your relationship with Christ, you're praying, you're sitting down, you're reading your Bible, but yet you got your phone right there, and any type of alert or anything, you're picking your phone up. Next thing you know, you're on Facebook scroll. Time with God's been put to the side. When is Jesus going to be the distraction? When's he going to become that? Today, we're going to be in a passage from 1 Samuel, and it's going to be in chapter 3. So if you guys have your Bible or your phone, just don't get on Facebook. That's how old I am. I still use Facebook. So it's 1 Samuel chapter 3, and this is a story about availability. And that's what the message today is availability. I kind of totally skipped out on that. I had a picture of my family up there. That was supposed to be like when I was talking about being out in the restaurant, your dinner. So that's my family. And we were actually not on our phones that night. That was actually the day when we got back from camp. And I am on my phone taking the picture, but that was about it. But yes, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background. There's two people in this story in 1 Samuel chapter 3. And basically there's Samuel and Eli. And Samuel was a dedicated servant to God. He assisted Eli. Eli was a priest. He assisted Eli, and God called Samuel to fill many different roles, okay? A judge, a priest, a prophet, a counselor, and God's man at a specific turning point in the history of Israel. And then Eli was an Old Testament priest that had judged Israel for 40 years, and he failed to discipline his sons when they sinned. And due to his disobedience, God's judgment destroyed his family. And so if you guys are pulled up 1 Samuel chapter 3, we're going to go through verses 1 through 10. So what I like to normally do is I like to read through it, and then I like to break down verse by verse. And so I'm going to go ahead and read through it. Verse 1 says, "The boy Samuel ministered before the Lord under Eli. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare. There were not many visions. One night, Eli, whose eyes were becoming so weak that he could barely see, was lying down in his usual place. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the house of the Lord, where the ark of God was. Then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, 'Here I am.' And he ran to Eli and said, 'Here I am. You called me?' But Eli said, 'I did not call. Go back and lie down.' So he went and lied down. Again, the Lord called Samuel. And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, 'Here I am. You called me.' 'My son,' Eli said, 'I did not call. go back and lie down." Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. A third time the Lord called, "Samuel." And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me." Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. So Eli told Samuel, "Go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and laid down in his place. The Lord came and stood there, calling as at the other times, "Samuel, Samuel." Then Samuel said, "Speak, for your servant is listening." So that seems very repetitive, right? Because he keeps getting up out of bed and running. "Hey, you called me, call me." And you would have thought that he would have given up, right? And he never did. So verse 1, the boy Samuel ministered before the Lord under Eli. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare. There were not many visions. So this was a period in time that there was limited prophetic activity. God's people weren't obeying his law. The spiritual leaders were corrupt. And the silence of God was the judgment of God. Sometimes when we don't hear from God, it's our own doing, right? When we don't hear from him all the time, sometimes it's because of us. You know, our disobedience, our addictions, and the distractions that we allow ourselves affect our hearing. Sometimes the silence is God's way of getting our attention. You know, there's been those times that you're like, "God, I can't, I need you, I need to hear from you." And then there's nothing. You hear nothing. There's a lot of different reasons of why that could be, but sometimes he's trying to get our attention through that silence. You know, there's one time at camp that God got my attention, and he got my attention in a lot of different ways at camp, but this specific moment wowed me, and I got a video to show you. All right. So for you, I'm sure you guys all know Aya. So Aya has real bad social anxiety, and she, all of a sudden, I don't know what was going on, but all of a sudden, I look down, and because we're sitting in the back, and I look down, and she's up on stage rocking out to air guitar and all that. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is in front of like 500 people, right? And she gets up on stage and just rocks out. And I'm like, that is awesome. You know, God does big things when we're available, right? Like, she was available that week, and like, she was on stage just having so much fun. She was so excited. The conversation afterwards, she was just like, yeah, like, it was just tons of excitement. And I'm glad I got to experience that. I'm glad you stepped out of that comfort zone and jumped up on stage. I'm sorry to embarrass you, but it's worth it. So, verse 2, this is going to be real hard to follow along, at least for me, because I'm ADHD. So, like, showing videos and illustrations and stuff that don't necessarily tie real close to it, and then I'm jumping back into Scripture. So, just try really hard to follow along. Verse 2, one night Eli, whose eyes were becoming so weak that he could barely see, he was lying down in his usual place. So Eli is 98 years old here. So his eyesight was starting to go out because of his age. You got to understand also that he was going physically blind and spiritually blind at the same time because of his disobedience. So when we're disobedient and we continue to live in that disobedience and not correcting and not following Christ, we start to become blind. Our eyes spiritually start to really become blind to seeing what God has for our lives and to speaking to us. When we choose the voice over ourselves, or when we choose the voice of ourselves or the voice of this world over the voice of God, we will become spiritually blind. Verse 3 says, "The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the house of the Lord where the ark of God was." So this lamp is to stay lit all the time, right? It's basically the light of God. It lights the house, and it's supposed to stay lit all the time. And that's where Eli and Samuel was actually sleeping. So their job was to keep it burning all the time. Verse 4 says, "Then the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel answered, 'Here I am.'" Right? So I want you to, that song that we just sang, available, "Here I am." I can't sing, but here I am. I'm available, right? So Samuel, this was a fast response. He jumped up and said, "Here I am," right? That is one of the marks of a servant, right? An attentive ear and an immediate response. That's being available. The question is, how alert are we when it comes to listening to God? Do we jump up out of bed in the morning and say, "Here I am, Lord, here I am"? Do we do that? I mean, most of us probably don't do that. But that's definitely something that we need to start doing. So I took some interview videos, some little short interview videos while we was at camp, just asking, what was your favorite part about camp and how's God been speaking to you this week? And I've got one of those videos to show you. What's your favorite thing about camp so far?
Going around and you can walk by yourself and you stay up later.
Awesome. What has God been speaking to you this week?
Well, I've been noticing a lot more than a lot of other things. I'd say that only He can judge you and not others. Well, not judge, help you in that stuff. And, others can help you. But it's trying to be more selfless instead of selfish.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing about camp so far?
Probably the worship. Worship's been pretty good, especially with the worship leader. Yeah, pretty good.
Awesome. And how has God been speaking to you this week?
I'm not really sure yet, but I know a lot of the things that are in the message and that I'm reading are kind of lining up. So he definitely is trying to say something to me, but I'm not really sure.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing about camp so far?
The people.
The people?
The people.
Awesome. And what has God been saying to you this week?
It's time to step up and learn what it means to be a man of God.
Nice. Awesome. So, these little videos show the availability. They're there, they're learning, and it's throughout the week. And it's just really good. God was doing a lot of things in a lot of our hearts, and I loved it. It was awesome. Verse 3. See the transition there? It was a little awkward. I'm trying to work on it. The lamp of... Is that where I was? Hold on. Oh, no, okay. Verse 5. Sorry, verse 5. It's even more awkward, man. Verse 5. And he ran to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me." But Eli said, "I did not call. Go back and lie down." So he went and lay down. Samuel has never heard the voice of the Lord before. And he's 12 years old at this time, and he was basically being mentored and living with Eli. And so Eli was his spiritual leader at the time. And so Samuel never actually heard the voice of the Lord. So this was his first time ever hearing it. And so automatically he thought, well, Eli's calling me. It's not God calling me, it's Eli. Eli normally would have realized it was God speaking to Samuel, but Eli was unavailable, right? The disobedience was blinding him. And so disobedience distorts our discernment and our understanding. Disobedience distorts our discernment and our understanding. And we've got another camp video. What's your favorite thing about camp so far?
Josh.
Who?
Josh.
Josh? Is that me?
Josh and Doug.
Yeah? Nice. Okay, and what has God been saying to you this week?
Be good.
Be good? Awesome. What's your favorite thing about camp so far?
Mostly the competitions.
The competitions?
Yep.
Awesome.
They're drawing with their face right now, I think.
Sweet. And what has God been saying to you this week?
I don't know. Take a lift. Don't worry about things.
Nice.
Thanks.
What's your favorite part about camp?
My favorite part about camp will probably be we're doing stuff all the time, and I don't really do like stuff all the time at home, and it's like getting me up and moving. It just makes me feel extra good about myself.
Awesome. What has God said to you this week?
A lot.
Anything specific?
He's very, very chatty this week.
Nice.
I mean, I definitely feel like I do need to take all the things I've learned and take it home with me. But I feel like it's just, I don't know if it's him talking to me, but I feel like he like picked me up like a baby and he's holding on to me right now.
Awesome.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. You're in his care, and he loves you. And thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Josh and Doug. He loves us. Verse 6. Again, the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, "Here I am. You called me?" "My son," Eli said, "I did not call. Go back and lie down." So Samuel says, "Here I am. You called me." That's availability. Okay? No matter if it was God or if it was Eli, Samuel's character was all about availability. Here I am. You can use me. I'm available to you. But Eli says, no, go lay back down. And he still hasn't figured it out. Eli still hasn't figured it out. How often do we allow the enemy to tell us to lay back down? How often do we allow the enemy to say, speak into our lives and tell us to lay back down, and we listen? No, that's not God's voice talking to you. Genesis 3, he did it to Eve in the garden. The enemy will twist words and distort the truth, and he'll have you questioning everything, but only if you allow it. If you allow that, man, he's messed with me many times. He's twisted so many things. I thought that I was seeing things I wasn't seeing. I thought that I was hearing things that I wasn't hearing. It's very important that we're available to God and not available to the enemy. Another camp video. What's your favorite part about camp?
I think my favorite part is like I really like the people here. Like, everybody I've met so far is, like, really nice. And, like, just, like, I don't know, like, the community, I guess.
Awesome. What has God said to you this week?
Like, things like, just, like, be respectful and, like, I don't know, things like that.
Awesome. What's your favorite part about camp?
Honestly, I really enjoyed the worship aspect just because everyone would get down on the floor and they would go down near the band and just have a good time.
Awesome. And what has God spoke to you this week?
The main thing that God has spoken to me this week is just to continue my walk in faith and continue to grow my relationship with Him and make it even stronger and better than before.
Awesome. What's your favorite part about camp?
The worship and being able to hang out with new people.
Awesome. And we get to celebrate because Ari accepted Christ this week, and it is awesome. That's awesome, isn't it? Yes. Are you excited? You made big decisions this week, and I'm excited to tell everybody.
You're scaring her.
What's your favorite part about camp?
Probably the rallies, just like the worship and like the message.
Yes. Yes, those are awesome. And what has God been speaking to you this week?
Probably just to like sit down and be still. To like when I'm stressed out and like pressured and stuff, to turn to Him instead of like just bottling it up inside.
Awesome. What's your favorite part about camp?
I think my favorite part.
So, if you guys know Anya, she's a little firecracker, and she was not going to do a video at all, and I'm like, you know what? Will you just like say no to me on video? And she goes, yeah. I was like, awesome. So that was the best way to end that. Like, it was verse 7 says, now Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. So as I was saying earlier, Samuel had not yet encountered the Lord in a personal way, nor had he received God's word by divine revelation. Verse 8, a third time the Lord called, Samuel. And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, here I am. You called me. Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. It took 3 times for him to actually realize that it was God that was speaking to Samuel. So you think by now that, Samuel would have ignored that, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm done getting up. I'm trying to sleep. I am not going to continue to do this because it's not Eli, obviously, so I'm going crazy or something. But he still got up. And he said, here I am. You called me. I'm available to you. Samuel was available every time the Lord called him. And then Eli finally realized that the Lord was speaking to him. And it all connected. There's a picture of a table. This table has a lot of meaning to it. That picture does. So, camp week, I wasn't distracted with painting. I wasn't distracted with anything in this environment of like where I live. I wasn't. So for you guys that don't know, I'm also a painter. That's a trade of mine. I paint full time, and I'm also the youth pastor here. So I didn't have any of those distractions. I was there, focused 100% on the Lord, 100% on my students, and 100% on the leaders that came with us. And I think it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, night, whatever you want to call it, that I was able to get time with the leaders sitting at that very table, that exact table. Some people would call it irresponsible, but we were there focused on God. And God, if you know what God does, he in some crazy miracle type of way, he will energize you for what he needs you to do. And so we would stay there till the sun came up most nights. And then we'd get maybe 30 minutes to an hour of sleep. And then we'd go all day long. And that's crazy. But we worked out a lot of things at that table. A lot of things. And it really helped to have a psychologist with us. Inside joke. This shirt actually has a lot of significance to that. This is if you guys know who Stephen Malcolm is, this is one of the shirts he was selling at one of the rallies. And this is exactly what we did at camp. We hustled because our schedule at camp was 8 o'clock to like midnight every single day. It was jam-packed. There was like no time to breathe. So we hustled every day. We prayed every day. And we ate. We ate food and we ate the word every day. You notice how it doesn't say sleep. There was no sleeping. So that table, that's an important table. We worked a lot of things out. Verse 9 says, "So Eli told Samuel, 'Go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." So Samuel went and laid down in his place. You know, that whole thing, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." That is exactly what availability looks like. "Speak, Lord, I am listening." That is the picture of availability. I also have a couple other pictures to show you guys. So, this is what availability looks like. While we were at camp, these are very precious moments. There was a lot going on that night. A lot of emotions, a lot of decisions, a lot of stuff was going on. And you've got Anna with Ari over here on the left top corner. You got Josiah and Douglas there. And then, I don't know, I think the two bottom ones may be not our students at all, but either way, there was a lot going on there, you know. There's another picture. Then you've got Aubrey, which is being total available with the posture of receiving. And Elise next to her singing. And then you've got Josiah just full out praying, man. And then down in the left corner, you've got everyone on their face praying. And then you've got, I believe that's Paige, the most closest one in the bottom right picture, raising her hand, being available to God. Those are pictures that are precious moments because they're being available. Verse 10 says, "The Lord came and stood there calling as at the other times, 'Samuel, Samuel.' Then Samuel said, 'Speak, for your servant is listening.'" You know, Samuel was obedient the whole time to God and to Eli. And then the message of the Lord, he had actually learned what God had planned to do. And so when we're available, we are going to learn what God has for us. What steps to take, what to buy, what not to buy. I mean, just anything in life, God will guide you. But we have to be available first. I've got a story I want to share with you guys, and it's a very emotional story for me. I don't know how I'm going to handle it, but so while we were there at camp, I forgot what day it was. I didn't get any sleep, but we were there, and there was one of the times of worship. I remember there was like 3 songs left. And during those 3 songs, I made myself completely available. I didn't have any other distractions, and all I was doing, I had my eyes closed, my head lifted, and my hands raised like this, just receiving. And during those 3 songs, I prayed nonstop, just for everything and anything. And I didn't hear God's voice audibly, but he was speaking to me in my spirit. And what he told me was, because we had like breakout sessions, we had like small group sessions, and we had youth group and stuff throughout the day. And he told me for youth group that evening, I want you to talk about prayer with the students. And I want everyone to be uncomfortable. And I want everybody to be on their face, on the floor, crying out to me, praying to me. And during that, I want you to play this song, Available. I didn't ever know the song Available.
I hear you call.
I did not know about the song Available. And we were in one of our breakout sessions, our chat rooms, they call it, and there was a professor there, and he was talking, and I'm sitting there taking notes because he was awesome. And he threw this song name out. He was using an illustration, and I watched Noah write the song name down, and I'm like, cool, I want to check that out later. Anyways, we checked it out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these words of this song is like my heart. This camp week, this is everything. This is my heart. And so God said, use that song. Then after that portion of me praying and just being available to God, songs were over and we sat down. And this is the crazy part. The speaker came out, about ready to give his sermon, and he looks up at the sound guys and he goes, we're going to pivot. Meaning that at the very last minute, everything that he had planned for that message is now gone. And he said, I want to talk about prayer. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And at this time, I'm just bawling. All these emotions, everything, like this whole time, God was speaking to me through me praying. He gave me direction, and then we sat down and the speaker said we're going to talk about prayer, and that's exactly what God told me to talk to the students about. Here I am. You can have it all. When we're available, God speaks. Now the video.
I hear
So I want to give everyone the opportunity to respond to this. Camp week was, I mean, it couldn't have gone any better. There was a lot of things that happened, a lot of stories we could share with you guys. A lot of walls were broken down. A lot of great spiritual growth happened at camp. You know, I said to you guys before that camp for a student, 1 week of camp is like 6 months worth of coming to youth group. So it is well worth having your student go to camp. Yes, you're going to be away from them for a whole week. Some of you guys are like, that's awesome. Some of you guys are like, oh, I don't know. I think I'd miss them too much. Or I'm afraid because they're going to be in a different state. There's all kinds of reasons that we could put out there. But we have to be available. We have to kind of dispute those reasons of why. And we have to be available to what God, allow God to work in us. And so I want to do that. I want to call the worship team back up here. And I want to bring you guys out of your comfort zone. Because I know that, and trust me, I'm not a hand raiser, and I wasn't until camp week. And I know a lot of you guys don't raise your hands either. And so instead of having you get down on your face and praying, I think it would be amazing if we could just all stand up and participate with the availability of just lifting our hands open. Because this is no lie. Just taking that step and lifting your hands with an open posture like this, it does something to your spirit. I don't know what it is, but it literally opens you up to receive. And there's a feeling that overcomes you. And it's God. It's God saying, I want to speak to you. So if we could do that, if we could stand up, and during this song, we're going to play the whole song. Listen to the words, close your eyes, and lift your hands. You could go like this, like this. Just be available. Open up your hands and receive what God wants to say to you. And during this time, just be acceptive of it.